And the MVP of this series, Dirk Nowitzki.
In 2011, Dirk Nowitzki crossed a major to-do from his list. Winning a championship, an MVP award, joining the 30,000-point club, he has continued to justify a teenage decision that had the chance to alter multiple professional sports leagues all the way from Würzburg, Germany. In 1998, the Mavericks, Bucks, and Suns combined for a draft day trade that gave Dallas a big ol' facelift. In one swoop, they acquired two future league MVPs, an in his prime Steve Nash and the 20-year-old Dirk Nowitzki. Fresh off 10 months of military service, he brought his boy band haircut to Dallas and dove headfirst into an NBA lockout that shortened the season to 50 games. The thing is, Dirk was at a crossroads just 5 years earlier. If he had taken the other path, he would never have to worry about owners or salary cap or not being able to play. It starts with little Dirk, like if you can imagine this guy being little. Growing up in Germany and being a gifted athlete meant there were two names that dominated conversation: Steffi Graf and Boris Becker. Graf was the top player in the world for 186 straight weeks, leading Billie Jean King to say she is definitely the greatest women's tennis player of all time. Becker was no slouch either, taking home his first major at 17. Thanks to the pair, tennis fever swept Germany. For Dirk's parents, that meant taking up the sport as a hobby, which introduced their son to his first type of court before he started grade school. He was also extremely good at handball, but I'm guessing he grew up in a household like mine where parents are always saying there's no money in handball. Fast forward to his early teens and Dirk had sprouted. He told Steve Flink in an interview that he was twice the size of some of the kids his age, which meant his powerful serve was even more devastating. On top of that, if the poor soul on the opposite side of the net managed to return it, his length and footwork allowed him to play the net as well. Scary thought. But as a result of the Graf and Becker effect, there was plenty of other talent in the age group to test his mettle. Specifically, Tommy Haas, who would appear in his first Grand Slam not long after his 18th birthday. This meant an uphill battle for Dirk. Despite treating it as professionally as a 15-year-old can, traveling for tournaments, training multiple times a week, working his way up the ranks of his age group, he hit a point where he felt he had to opt for the career on a different court where extreme height wasn't viewed as a disadvantage. And that was a decent decision for the future NBA Hall of Famer. But with what we now know about Dirk from the last 20 years, would there be any chance he could make a dent in the ATP or just leave a 7-foot hole in the NBA? For starters, back stateside without Dirk in the 1998 draft, the Mavericks select Larry Hughes out of St. Louis University. At first, it wouldn't really matter. They'd still snap their playoff drought in 2002, which was a great year for Dallas. The other similarity to 2002? They'd get bounced by the Kings, likely in the first round instead of the second. Also, come 2011, it's much more likely LeBron would have begun fulfilling his promise to Miami fans in his first season with the Heat. That means still no championship for the Mavericks. Now, if there's anything we know for certain about Dirk Nowitzki, it's that he's going to put the work in. He has continued to master his shot, and there's every reason to believe he would do the same thing for tennis. The closer he got to 7 feet tall, the more it would become apparent his need to embrace the strength of that length and bring on a coach that knew the power of serving. Boris Boom Boom Becker. Becker retired in 1999 and proved his worth as a coach when he helped Novak Djokovic to 6 of his 12 Grand Slam titles. Having been known for his fast serve and volley skills, it would have been a perfect pairing for player and coach. Now, actually predicting how Dirk would do on the tour and against stars of the game, it's a crapshoot. But there are some really good barometers for potential success in the sport. John Isner and Ivo Karlovich. At 6'10 and 6'11 respectively, these giants have similar games to what Dirk brings to the court. Both have used their hard-hit, well-placed serves to beat opponents, including Novak Djokovic, who they've both upset while he held the #1 rank in the world. They are two of only 4 players to serve 10,000 career aces in the ATP, but Dirk would make that 5. Between his natural ability, work ethic, and Becker's coaching, there would be a really good chance the prize of Cuban's eyes could manage a career that resembles what Isner has done. Now the downside. While the wins would come, Dirk would have turned pro probably around 22 years old in the year 2000. That means he would have hit the scene as legends like Sampras and Agassi passed the mantle to Roger Federer, and eventually Nadal and Djokovic. He also would have had to deal with Andy Roddick in his prime, so the timing would have been tough. Dirk has managed to avoid serious injury, and for a big man, his knees have held up relatively well. While that longevity would help him be a mainstay of the sport, possibly even flirt with the top 10, it probably would also let him share the frustrations of so many others stuck in an era dominated by some of the best to ever play. Dirk still has a passion for tennis, hosting a charity tournament each year where he claims to have aced Isner once. Thankfully for the NBA, he's stuck with basketball and has allowed the Mavericks to feel like a perpetual threat. While it would be awesome to watch that nearly 8-foot wingspan blasting serves, getting to witness one of the best jump shots in NBA history on a regular basis ain't too bad.
One of the most incredible comebacks in NBA Finals history.
And this is the part where I ad-lib something, and then you subscribe to SB Nation, and you click on the video over there to see more of our stuff.